Hey guys, welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. It's me, Magic Mike, and on the other end we've got Big Steve. Steve, how you doing?
Oh, Big Steve, what a throwback. I sometimes I feel big, other times I'm like I feel small. Actually, I got a nice compliment. I would call this a compliment in the gym recently where a guy was like asking how much I weighed and I told him. He was like, "No way." He was like, "I thought you were 10 kilograms heavier than that." And I tend to take that as a compliment where it's like it's because I'm much leaner than I don't know. So I don't weigh as much. So it's always nice kind of having that. I especially think probably shorter, muscular guys often look much heavier than they weigh. And in general, natural bodybuilders on stage, people are always like, no way they weigh that little. Like
Mm,
if people knew, I don't know how much Dirk weighs, just as an example, we bring up Dirk quite a lot. He's not a heavy, like huge guy, or even like Nunez, like he looks like big, especially in photos and like all of that. But then when you tell them the stage weight, they're like, oh, right. Like when you haven't got the body fat there, you can weigh a lot less. Anyway, I'm rambling, Mike. How are you?
no, you made me think of Babacar as well. Like, I imagine if people looked at Babacar, they'd like think, oh, he must be 200 plus pounds or whatever, but he's probably not.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I think it was the 2000 and I can't remember what year it was, but I think maybe it was the first WMBF Worlds he ever won, and he beat the guy that's gone into Classic in the IFBB now, who is still
Oh,
natural. I forget his
Kendall?
actual Kendall.
Is it
That's the one. So he
Kendall?
beat Kendall. And I remember seeing them. I think I don't know if I was watching a live stream or I was watching a replay, but I remember watching it and being like, I thought they were the other way round in terms of like heavyweight and lightweight because Babacar just looked massive,
Yeah.
and I thought Kendall was just like a taller middleweight maybe. And yeah, no, it was because Babacar doesn't weigh a ludicrous amount because he is, I don't know, five. I'm going to say 5'5".
Five?
Let's make
Yeah,
the. I don't want to. It's one of those things you never want to say someone's shorter than they are, especially as a guy.
because I felt like he was slightly shorter than me, or at least the same height.
Possibly, yeah. I can't remember, but yeah.
All I visualize is because I remember we were walking behind him at the Swedish Championships last year, and yeah, from the distance we were behind him, I was like, ah, you know, again, it's the natty, whatever you want to call it. Like when we've got our clothes on, it's like just look normal, but then you take the clothes off, and it's like, oh, damn, okay, maybe they don't, maybe they're not normal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Especially when you're stage ready, like you don't fill out anything and what have you. But how are you, Mike?
Yeah,
How are things? It's
yeah,
your
good.
first week back after having a few days off.
Well, so this
Second
is
week.
second week. So
Time
second
flies.
week.
Yeah.
I know it does, right? But it's been, do you know what? It's been really positive. I feel like momentum is being built. So kind of first week was the first week back. So, and the shoulder was still, I was still kind of aware of it kind of early part of last week. Whereas actually throughout as last week went on, it continued to improve. The body was feeling good. And this week's felt even better. It's just felt like a nice platform for progress is being made. So I couldn't really ask for more really. So from a training and just everything perspective, life's good, to be honest with you.
Nice.
The only thing was actually today I made well, I recently literally just made a post about it, but I went to go today. I had a program, the lying leg press, and I went to go to it, and like it was just completely broken, and I was just like gutted because it's like my go-to at the moment. I was like, oh, so I had to find. I ended up doing the Bulgarian split squats with a safety bar because I thought the other leg press that we've got in the gym, it's just not quite the same. It's slightly more 45-degree angle, and I thought it's not. Yeah, it's just not going to feel the same. And at the moment, the Smith machine, the angle is just still a bit harsh on the shoulder because of the external rotation. I could probably get there, but if I was to push, it might just compromise the shoulder a little bit. So I didn't want to risk it. So I just ended up going for the safety bar again. And it was all right, but it was as similar as I tried to make it. It's just not. the same still. I was still kind of like figuring it out. So that was just like something different that happened today.
You highlighted two nice things there. One is these things happen and you have to kind of on the fly make a decision. And we educate our clients so that they don't just go, oh, that's broken, skip it then.
Yeah.
Which happens now and then with clients where maybe it's the first time it ever happens. We haven't talked about it, but many of our clients, they're very well educated. They're coaches themselves. So they can find a like-for-like alternative. The easiest comparison is nutrition, right? You go to the fridge and you're like, oh, my chicken's off. It's like, oh, I've got a tin of tuna in the cupboard. Great. I can make that as a replacement here. That's easy. But it's maybe not quite the same. You don't quite get you wanted chicken, that was ideal. You're kind of in the groove. It's all seasoned and nice, whereas you don't know how to make your tuna taste good. Kind of similar here with the Bulgarian split squat. It's similar. You're a well-experienced lifter, but still it would take you a week, two to like get it into the groove. So the second thing you highlight really well is why we don't encourage changing movements frequently, because there is that literal switching cost of you have to relearn something. And if you're learning it, yes, it's novel, but novelty isn't what drives growth. Progressive overload is. And if you're learning it and relearning and switching things, you're not progressively overloading. So yeah, anyway, chance for me to ramble.
Yeah, absolutely. Great segue for education as always. So I loved it.
What was so this past weekend you judged, but
yes.
also, did you go out for any different foods?
No,
consume
that's where
anything different?
I fell down. That's where I fell down the new foods. No, because Saturday I kind of was just busy getting stuff ready for the week, and I could. And my excuse is that I could have had something that evening. I just didn't. And then Sunday I was just judging all day. I did actually, whether this counts or not. So I had like a beef poke, like Japanese poke bowl type thing. So yeah, that was kind of different, but I can't say I legitimately
Where was
improved.
it from?
I was just like takeaway from it was just like, some Sainsbury's and Tesco's now they have like
It was a supermarket.
Japanese.
Like right. It wasn't from like, I don't know, Itsu or like a restaurant or something. Okay, cool. Yeah,
No,
I was just trying to
they make it
pass
fresh
out.
there, to be fair.
Oh,
Like
okay. It was at the like they have a sushi counter or they have like a poke bowl counter or like it's
it
like
was
a
like
Subway, right?
exactly. So like
Yeah,
it wasn't just like, really commercially made. It was legitimately like
not
their
like
little
ready
sushi bar
meal.
place. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
was
cool.
good. Yeah, but yeah, the judging was fun though.
Uh, talk about the judging a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I looked at anyone who follows Mike. You maybe saw the stories. You were sharing kind of the various categories, and you obviously mentioned it to me too that it's not your WMBF or MPA strict like bodybuilding judging. It's a little bit maybe a bit more subjective. Some different categories. I don't even know if there was like a bodybuilding category. You have to talk me through it.
Yeah, so the federation is called Gym Bodies, and it's a very, very much independent type federation. And I think kind of like the premise is just something where it's maybe just not quite as formal. They've got other categories like swimwear, sportswear, theme wear. They've got a category they call men's fitness, which is basically like if you imagine men's physique, where you're kind of like pretty much shredded, and well, yeah, you are shredded, and you've got the board shorts. Men's fitness is like one conditioning level down from that, where you're lean but you're not shredded as such. So it's just nice for
No
some
striations.
no striations, like nothing like that, but you've just got visible kind of muscle separation, a six pack kind of thing, nice shape, nice V taper, but nothing more than that. And actually, the shorts are slightly different. So they actually have more like swimming trunks, which is different and odd in some ways. So they don't necessarily have board shorts. It's more, yeah, trunks as
Are they
such.
like long classic, like tight swimming trunks? I don't know what you'd call them.
So like not speedos, but like somewhere in between, like not the men's physique shorts, but they're just slightly shorter and more tighter fitting.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean.
So yeah, and it just gives competitors like who don't necessarily want to go all the way into like maybe the more extreme categories. They just want to kind of have a bit more fun with it. So, which is quite nice. So they've had that, and yeah, it was just really nice. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of much else to say. It was just something very informal, very different, but something that's very fun. It gives me judging experience as well, which I'm really, really grateful for, and I love to do. So yeah, it was just a good day.
You mentioned formal a few times, but I saw what you were wearing, Mike, and that was pretty formal.
I
You had like a
know.
waistcoat on.
Do you know what? I think that's the first time this year I've worn any kind of formal attire. So, and it's one of those things where I like the thought of it, I hate. Like, I think, oh, I've got to wear a suit. But when I wear it, I'm actually like, oh, actually, this isn't too bad.
I was looking at the other people. I think because you had a picture with the other judges. I was like, Mike looks quite formal compared to some of these.
I know.
But anyway,
They
it's
like
nice.
us
Yeah,
to
it's
get.
nice to dress up now and then, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. It is good. I need to. Again, it's one of those things where it's like the thought is always worse than the actual thing itself.
And the clocks went back on, what was it,
That day.
Saturday night? Yeah,
Yeah.
that day. And you still haven't had enough sleep. You had an extra hour.
Do you know what? So last week I had one night where I got 8 hours, and it was that night where the clocks went forward. So yeah, but we're getting better. That's it. We're getting better. Last
I
week
can't
there
believe
was.
it's now dark at like 5.
I know,
It's not
switching the
fun.
lights
It's
on.
winter.
Yeah, in some ways I don't mind it though, because it kind of just encourages you to get to sleep when it's light. Like all the way into the late hours of the evening, it kind of just, I'm like, I'm not describing it very well, but that darkness, it just encourages you to go to bed, kind of thing.
Yeah, I basically would like it to be light when I'm awake and meant to be awake, and dark when I'm not meant to be. That would be ideal. Or like that from 9 to 10 p.m. it's starting to get like really dark. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think it lends itself to sleeping more during winter times, which I guess I don't know if there's any biological rationale there, but at least with like trying to go by light rhythms and how we naturally would have been awake and slept, we would have probably slept more because it was darker for longer, and
Yeah,
similarly be awake for longer because it was lighter for longer.
yeah, no, absolutely. um I will, I do want to take a slight tangent, because I've been enjoying Demon Slayer so much. Like, it's so good. I think I'm on episode 23 of season 1. And I'm just, Tanjiro is like my new hero. I love Tanjiro. And I've got this new mantra in the gym. Like, do you remember when he says, total concentration, water style? Like, that's just before every set now, I'm just thinking like total concentration.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I need to. Yeah, I haven't got my teeth into anything. I've been watching, as I've said before, Seven Deadly Sins,
Mm.
and oh man, why have I forgotten his name? There's so many really good like people clip bits and pieces of what he's said, because he's the sin of pride, and for some reason I've literally forgotten his name. I can picture him, but you can just quote him. He kind of is similar to Vegeta in terms of like you can just pick out quotes of things that he's said, and it's just like completely epic. I'm gonna have to find his damn name because I feel really annoyed that I've forgotten his name. Although I wouldn't necessarily. The Seven Deadly Sins, I enjoyed the first. I don't know if it was the first season, but basically they were gathering all the sins together.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, now I can't find him. It was like popping off in my reels, like, oh, here we go. This might be it. Escanor, that's the one. Escanor. I just had to find his name. Escanor, the Sin of Pride. Yeah, he has some like epic clips, which I'd already heard him. I think it is actually seeing a clip of him was what led to me watching Demon Slayer. Not Demon Slayer. Seven Deadly Sins. Anyway, but anyway, I've rambled on. So hopefully you'll have finished all the. I don't know how many seasons there are now of Demon Slayer. There might be 3 before the movie.
Yeah. So I'm hoping, was the movie, by the way, was that a real was that like kind of real people, or was it an anime
No,
movie?
animated. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Because I saw a YouTube clip of like the actual real people acting Demon Slayer, and I was like, oh,
I don't believe there is an actual movie where they've done that. I know Dragon Ball did it,
mm,
and there's obviously the TV series of why have I forgotten what it's called? I can only think of One Punch Man now. Man, why did these things pop through my head and come out? It's the
um,
One Piece. One Piece. That's why I was thinking One
mhm.
Punch Man. One Piece. They've got the human version of that on Netflix, which is actually really good. I've enjoyed that a lot.
Ah,
The adaptation, I don't know what they call it, non-animated adaptation. I don't know, the human adaptation. But anyway, normally they're not great. Like the Dragon
mm,
Ball one, I haven't watched it, but I've heard terrible things.
yeah. They're supposed to do it for a Naruto. Tom Holland was supposed to be Naruto.
I did see they were doing something for that. I don't know if that went ahead or not, but I could see Naruto working because they're
Yeah,
not. Dragon Ball doesn't work because you need like The Rock and people like that in the
literally.
film
Yeah.
because you got to be super jacked, but there's not enough like jacked actors probably. I don't know, good
No,
actors, and
no.
obviously they fly and all that. Whereas I don't know the ninja stuff and One Piece, it's a bit more. I don't know, they can animate it a bit better, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. What's happening with you? Any update?
Uh trying to think if there's been anything, any real updates. No, it's just more of the same, you know.
Mm,
No kind of crazy updates. I think I might be due to rotate some movements in my meso that are just maybe feeling a bit stale, and I'm just kind of a bit hit my head against a bit of a brick wall with them, and I could just do with a psychological refresher. I think next week will be week 13 of this mesocycle. I
mm,
haven't hit any like drops in performance. I don't feel systemically fatigued. I feel quite beat up some days. Like sometimes,
mm,
like I am wondering if I might have to just take a few days off at some point. The TFL, whatever, hip
mm,
flexor strain. I have no idea what it is, to be honest, Mike. I did leg extensions yesterday and past the initial range of motion, it was fine. And as I got into it was fine, but the pain is still there. It's still causing me a problem.
mm,
It has seemingly got a little bit better, but it's quite slow. I'm just aware of it. And my knees are still, as we've spoken about, I've still got the patella tendonitis in my
mm,
knees. But again, I'm managing it with the way that I'm lifting. But yeah, my legs at least are giving me some warning signs of backing off. Uh, but I fundamentally feel good. Like I said, I think there might be some stuff that I'm just wanting a bit of freshness. So I might rotate some movement, see if that helps.
mm.
Um,
Are they mainly lower body movements that you're thinking of rotating, or mixture?
I don't know. I'm kind of a bit stubborn with my lower body lifts, and I've got quite a lot of variation in my program at the moment for lower body anyway, as in I'm doing leg press, hack
Mm,
squats, and pendulum squats,
yeah.
3 different days. And all of them, like, they're really tough, but like they're feeling good. If
Mm,
any of them are feeling the least good, would probably be the hack squats. But I'm also, when you're at that point with the lift where you're like it doesn't feel bad by any means, but it doesn't feel as good as it once did. But that might have just been like a bit of a novelty good. And now it's like really fucking hard. And I don't want to rotate it out just because it's getting hard. And like I'm adding literally 1.25 kgs like week after
mm,
week. I'm trying to. For some reason, Mike, I don't know if you're like this, but with lower body, I'm really stubborn. And especially quads, and I think it's just because I really want them to improve. I'm a little bit stubborn with wanting to see weekly improvement. For
mm.
whatever reason, upper body, if I match performance week on week, I'm fine with it. I'm just like, cool, no problem. But for like lower body, I'm like, no, this is my mission today. I must beat it.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or do you feel the same way?
Certain movements, so like pendulum squats, good mornings for me, like for some reason, yeah, just every week I'm like, no, I've got to add a little bit of weight. I would say that that's changed at the moment for me. I would say I think over the last couple of weeks with kind of needing to deload, etc., I think that changed my mindset a little bit, and it's made me a little bit more like, no, it's fine to, hold things this week, etc. And also you've discussed with me in our check-ins as well, it's like sometimes you can just progress one set and just be cool with matching your other sets. And that was again a bit of a mindset shift for me. So sometimes I'm thinking, hey, I'm just going to aim for this set and then the next sets I'm going to match. And so it's kind of changed for me a little bit at the moment. How long it will last, I'm going to try to make it last, but sometimes we go through phases, don't we?
Yeah, I give myself, it sounds like you do as well. You give yourself a bit of a harder time with lower body. I just generally, I don't know if that's just because lower body training is harder. So you kind of have to be harder on yourself for it. People aren't as good at, like, the joke is like, you've always got one more on leg press. Like it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I think, yeah, I don't know, failing on, yeah, it's actually one of those things. I think failing on a lower body compound, like whatever, any of those lifts, hacks, pendulum, leg press, like it's really not fun failing on those. Failing on dumbbell press, I did that today. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, whatever. It's like, it's not a big deal. Or failing on a lat pull down or a row, it's like, well, maybe I just got a partial. Like, it's not the end of the world. But, and it's not the end of the world, obviously, on a leg press, hack squat, like those big compound lifts, but it's just like, it's very confronting. And you almost know you're going to fail it. Like, I generally take it, so my last rep is 0 RER, and I'm just like, it's very clearly to me 0 RER. But I'm like, was it though? Let's beat it next week.
Yeah. Yeah. And the amazing thing is sometimes you will get in next week and you do progress and you're like, okay. And it kind of just feeds
Could
that.
still be 0 RER though. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
an
No,
adaptation.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just think, and that kind of just feeds the machine of thinking every week you need to progress because you just expect your body to adapt every week. When in
Which is
reality,
not realistic.
no.
No, not at all. So yeah, I do think I'll start hitting a bit of a wall with some of these things because, yeah, I don't know, it's been a long time. I've been basically at 0 RER, just pushing and hoping for some progress. And
Mm,
no doubt some of my technique has probably degraded a little bit from where it once was,
mm,
but not to enough of a degree that's anything I'm concerned about. But yeah, I'm definitely in that cliff edge
mm,
territory at the moment. So that's training. And then, yeah, I don't think there's anything of note with training really. On the
mm,
nutritional front, calories have been pushed up. So I'm now like 3.6. So I've been at 3,600 the past week.
mhm,
And weight at the moment, if I look month on month, I think I'm less than a pound up. I'm like maybe half a pound up month on month. Well, I'm not too upset about that. I think 185 pounds for me, Mike, which is pretty much where I'm sitting, or even a little bit below that. That's like my, like, I'm at the point where I'm like, if you said, Steve, we've got a diet next week, you're starting prep, I'd be like, cool. Like, I'm at that point now where I'm just like, yeah, fine. I'm like, totally, that would be all right. Before
yeah,
this body weight, I wasn't ready for it. But
mhm,
now, pretty much a year post show, feel like I'm ready where I could if I needed to start a prep, which actually, well, even if I started prep now, it'd be too soon. If depending on what shows I was targeting, I could do some early shows next year.
mhm. Do you think it's like solely a time thing, the fact that it has been just a year, or do you think it's a combination of the fact that you are, recovered, you are at a good, healthy body weight plus time?
It gotta be the both. I think. I think if I got up to 185 pounds, like a couple of months post show, I don't think I'd be feeling the way I'm feeling.
Mm,
I definitely think there's a combination with them both. But the good thing with it is, and the thing I'm so pleased about is like my appetite is still good. Like I'm not forcing food in. It's just I'm very free and flexible with things.
mm,
Like I don't feel like, oh, like if I missed a meal, it wouldn't be the end of the world, for example. And then like, it means that it's a luxurious place to be in. Let's put it that way. It's like I've got a lot of discretionary spend if I needed to
mm,
have it that way. But yeah, like I think I said last time, I think I'm probably going to gain for another, I don't know, 6 months and
yeah,
put on another 5 pounds and then maybe do a mini cut into like then a short kind of maintenance and then prep for 2027. That sounds like that would work reasonably.
yeah. I mean, that's incredible. You think, what's that like? 2-3 year off season and you've done one little mini cut for the whole time. You've been
Yeah.
massing that whole time. That's mental.
It just meant until I got to this point, though, I needed diligence, really.
Mm,
I couldn't just wing it. Like I had to be on top of stuff. And as you know, like we've talked about it before, like in New York and everything, I
yeah.
needed to be on top of my stuff there. And I enjoyed it, but it was within boundaries. Whereas for a lot of people, that would not be something that they could commit to or want to even commit to. It's maybe not worth it to them, which is fair enough.
But it was so interesting because I think like obviously you could tell you were doing things like you were having like bags of tomatoes and bags of carrots, but outside of that, like to the outside eye, you were still having we were having pizza, we were having all of this nice food, and like so even though you were on your game and having to think about it, it's like to the outside eye, you were still enjoying the experiences and still enjoying everything to a certain degree. So it was like it was really cool.
I just could have, and probably most people would have eaten double
Yeah.
in those situations. So yeah, it's I think it's just a skill set I have. I know I posted up a slice of cheesecake from the weekend because I went home and my mum made cheesecake, and it's funny. I just sliced it. I put it on my plate. I was like, that's to me. It didn't look like a big slice. It was definitely a small slice. Most places that serve cheesecake, it's like this huge chunk of a thing. But I was like, that's still going to be a lot of calories. And I estimated it as like 300 calories because I was able to weigh it. And I just put in a generic cheesecake and it was 300 calories. And I was just like, most people would have, and to be fair, the rest of my family were having probably a bigger chunk of cheesecake. And then they were having this other brownie thing. And I was just like, when you know how many calories are in things and then you have goals in mind, like I'm just like, I'm good at just, I don't need to have double this. And that 600 calories worth of cheesecake, just, yeah, I probably could have made that work, but I didn't want to or need to. But for a lot of people, they just would be like, I can't just have like a slither of cheesecake. I have to have the whole thing. It's just something that and I think you're the same with that, Mike. You're just like, hey, if a slither's goal appropriate right now, that's what I do.
Yeah, totally. That, yeah, what you said about just knowing, knowing calories, knowing what's in food, it is very different. It really just changes perspective a lot. It also jumping a little bit when I've gone to the coffee shop and had like a baked good, had a brownie or whatever, like I've really enjoyed it. But then I've also at the same time kind of been hungry as well because like from a filling perspective, it's not as filling as saying having your standard meal. So yeah, it's just very interesting to know like, hey, I was going to say, is the juice worth the squeeze kind of thing? And of course it is because you want to enjoy the taste. But at the same time, it's like, hey, that was 450, 500 calories where, hey, I could have had something more satiating maybe. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, you just have to know yourself and know when it's appropriate. I know we spoke about it on here. There was a time post show where I was including, I think in my post workout, I was having like a protein bar because I had quite a lot. And then I was just recognizing I'm a bit more hungry than I would like in the day. I'm not having that protein bar anymore. I just rotated in some Greek yogurt. I was like, right,
Mm,
a month or two later, that's when the protein bar was completely fine. Like I could eat one every day and have a variety of different, like if I wanted to like processed goods right now and I'd be fine. But
mm,
my appetite was at a point where because I think hunger's a really weird thing where people think, oh, if you're in a surplus, you shouldn't be hungry. But it's like, no, you can be. It depends on your food selection. Yeah, if you're eating like all wholesome, minimally processed food, great. I think this is why sometimes, I don't know if you've ever heard people claim that kind of, if it fits your macros, doesn't work because there's something inherently better about whole foods for nutrient partitioning. I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense to me. The body doesn't know nutrients to that degree. And if you're meeting the same fiber and fluff, fruit and veg or whatever, then like I can't see it as being a problem and I can't see that being inherently better. But what I think it does do is people don't overeat. I think that's simply it. I think
yeah.
normally when people do a bit more of some people, they get a bit too flexible and they
Mm,
say they're hitting their macros, but they're not. They're overeating. And that's what leads to worse nutrient partitioning because they're in excess of a surplus.
Yeah, that margin for error with processed foods in terms of, you think there might be X amount of calories in them, but maybe that margin for error is a lot greater. Whereas, broccoli, and, assuming you cook broccoli in a standard way and you don't add stuff to it, like, broccoli is going to be, X amount kind of thing. I think it's hard. Yeah, it's kind of, there's an element to that as well. But no, I totally agree.
Could for sure be.
Mm.
The only other update is for those that didn't see Ada jump onto my lap. She had some chemo yesterday, so it'd been 3 weeks since she'd had chemo. She had elevated liver values, which meant that her body just couldn't deal with an extra stress. But they've come a bit down, so she managed to have a aggressive but different form of chemo yesterday. Could lead to vomiting, diarrhea, and stuff, but I mean, touch wood, I am. I'm touching my table. People can't see my hands. What are you touching, Steve? That would be dodgy. Ada's on my lap. Anyway, sorry, my mind's going weird places. She's dealing with it so far, so good. But she is starting to lose a little bit of her hair, interestingly enough. Just on her snout, there's a little bit of hair loss, and her hair's got thinner. It's very soft, but it's got thinner. But she's dealing with it all right. So we just have to see how that goes.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
I'm having confidence she's going to make it to Christmas at this point.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And into next year.
It's really, I mean, Christmas is going to be upon us before we know it, for sure.
Yeah. Less than 2 months now, I think.
Indeed.
Wait, it's the 31st. Yeah, less than 2 months.
I mean, and I forgot, but I was going to say, this is a Halloween special episode.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Halloween today.
What are you doing to celebrate Halloween, Mike?
Absolutely nothing.
Do you get trick-or-treaters? Can you get trick-or-treaters at your door?
Well, it's funny because as we were just speaking, I could hear like kids outside my door, and I'm kind of, I hope this doesn't come across as Scrooge-like, but I just pray that they don't knock on my door because I'm not going to be answering.
Just chuck out some protein bars or some broccoli.
Right outside the window. They look
I
at
wouldn't
it
give them protein bars, to be fair. They're way
No
too
way.
precious.
I have. Do you remember the film Big Daddy with Adam Sandler?
Yeah, no. You love an Adam Sandler film, don't you? It's the sort of humor you love.
That is my humor down to a T. But there's this scene, basically. Big Daddy is this film with Adam Sandler he adopts this kid, or he fosters the kid, a kid, and they go trick or treating, and they approach this house, and this guy just basically says, go away, and gives them the finger and whatnot. And Adam Sandler just basically somehow gets into his house and forces him to give the kid like a watch and all this valuable stuff. So, and I just got that in my head. Yeah.
You might get egged, Mike. If the people can see that you're in and you don't answer your door, you're getting a trick.
I know.
A load of eggs thrown at your door.
Oh, man. Yeah.
For our US followers, the UK don't really do Halloween. Not like we do, but you walk down the street, like I'll walk down my road, which is actually really long, Trevelyan Road. Don't know how many houses are along it, but like 50? I don't know. Maybe not that many. Both sides, definitely at least 50. There'll be 5, maybe 10% of the houses here will have Halloween stuff outside. And I think it's a bit of an unwritten rule that if you don't have a pumpkin outside your front door, you don't try.
I didn't know that unwritten rule, actually.
I think it's a little bit of an unwritten rule.
I was even...
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I was even just contemplating just writing a sign saying like no.
Oh my god, that'd be proper screwed.
I know that
like a sign: no salespeople,
and
no kids, no trick or treats,
no children.
That you are asking to be egged.
I know.
Fuck this guy. Can't tell me not to knock at his door.
Imagine if they expected like this old man to come outside the door and it was just me. That's so bad. But yeah.
I don't know if it was last year or was in recent years. Charlotte did buy a bunch of Haribo to like give out, but we never get people knock here because we don't have a pumpkin outside the front door or anything or any decoration. So neither me or Charlotte are into Halloween, but I know some people love it. Normally Americans.
Yeah, I one, I don't understand its significance. Like, where has it come from? Like, is there anything behind Halloween? Like, how did it come about? Like, I'd like to know that, because with Christmas, it's like obviously the origins are kind of religious in nature and you can kind of get it. But like with this, it's like, is it just literally a gimmick to grab sweets off random people?
I mean, let's be honest. Easter, like
Yeah.
Christmas, they're all gimmicks just for marketing to sell stuff. But at least you get time off when they're around.
True, true. We don't get time off for Halloween though.
No, we do
It's a
not.
shame. But
So yeah, no, yeah, this is a Halloween episode, but not at all haunted or hosted by people that do anything for Halloween.
no, exactly. Um, my my head was going to. Do you have any news at all?
Off the top of my dome, any news? I did have something, and it's completely gone in one ear and out the other. It's something we were talking about at the start of the episode. Yes, now it's come back. The SMBF was this weekend. So the Switzerland show. So obviously, like you said, I competed in it last year, and Babacar was there again. He
Yeah.
turned up and he won again, which isn't surprising. But our man Max, Mad Max, the
Yeah.
dentist, who won the WMBF UK Pro Show, he came second in very close contention. A point between them was him and Andrew Chappelle. So Andrew, known for his very classic lines, brings heaps of muscle. From what I've seen of pictures as well, very conditioned. I wouldn't say that's something he's necessarily known for, his conditioning, but he looked very good.
Yeah.
But Max, let's put it this way. Andrew is very well known for his symmetry, but Max is like, he tests Babacar symmetry, I would say. He's just an X frame when he hits that front symmetry pose. And yeah, I mean, credit to those guys. A point between them must have been really, really tight. But Max has competed against Andrew before, so it must have been a bit tough on Andrew, because Andrew placed quite a bit higher than him, I believe, at WMBF Worlds. But that was Max's like pro debut, so it's just cool to see Max improved that much. Like, he must have been a lot better to have placed there. But from the photos, they looked amazing. Fourth place, I believe, was actually... I forget his name. I apologize, because I think he's actually maybe Swiss. He came and competed at the UK show and came fourth, I believe. I think he came fourth there as well. Much shorter. So he is like maybe 5'3", I believe. But
Right.
very good symmetry, tons of muscle on his frame. I just think it's always going to be tough for someone like himself, because he'll do better in weight categories. He's just so much smaller and in every way than in an open show. You said Babacar, so obviously he's not at all. This individual's quite a bit smaller. So anyway, that's about the best bit of news that I can think of. I don't know if Babacar looked better this year. I need to actually compare photos. He looks amazing every year, but I was like, did he look better last year? I think part of me just wants to biasly say that. Did you see it at all?
I did. I saw some of the pictures, and I saw Babacar's posing routine, which I thought was better, and I think it showcased more his poses and his physiques in a more variety of different ways, because his posing routine last year was very much like he came on, did a front double bicep, did a side chest, did a back double bicep, and then kind of walked off. But this time it looked much more, there was more thoughts and variety of poses, and I think that was really cool to see. And if anything, it made him look a tiny bit better, because you saw his physique in different ways. So yeah,
that's not judged, Mike.
No, it's
maybe
not.
for a tiebreaker.
A tiebreaker, maybe that kind of, I don't know, the what's it called, when just having that charisma and having that X factor just puts someone ahead a little bit, maybe.
But I think it was probably, I don't know, obviously I don't know the scorecards. Actually, I would love to have known the scorecards when I competed. I don't know, but obviously Andrew knew he was a point between them, but I guess they'd tell them that. I imagine it was a clear run for Babacar, because he's just built for bodybuilding. Interesting enough, though, I don't think he'd do well in Classic at all.
No, he's not. No.
He wouldn't be winning a Classic Pro card, I don't think, just because he's not Classic.
No.
Similarly, I don't think I'm classic, but I don't know if I'm even. Babacar might be worse built for classic than I am in some ways. I don't know. If we both nailed our posing, it might be challenging, but he's not. Posing isn't, I wouldn't say for Babacar, like, he doesn't, his posing's good. It's definitely
Mm.
adequate. It could be better, but he doesn't need it to be any better.
No. He hit.
It's
He
about the
hits
only
it.
area he could improve.
Yeah, he hits it good enough for him. Like he, like for his body type, he can just get into a pose and just look amazing. But you know, like it's sufficient basically, but
And that's
nothing.
not us saying his posing's bad. It's
No.
very good. It's just, it could actually probably be even better, and he could look even that much better, but he's already so fucking good. It doesn't really matter in that sense. But people
Yeah.
like us who aren't that gifted need to work on every, and I know my posing can definitely be better. Something I want to work on actually is for next time I compete is trying to locate a local posing coach that I can see regularly
Yeah.
and actually like purchase, I don't know, a year of posing with them, so I regularly have to go and see them. It's kind of similar to what you ended up doing with I forgot his name. You're going to say it right,
Adrian Gray, I think his
Adrian
name.
Gray. But
Yeah,
what's
Saxon
his
King.
Instagram? Saxon King. That's the one. Yeah, he
But
seemed to be very good.
he was good, but he's not close. He
No,
was
I know that.
in Cannock, like so. Even for me, it was like maybe like a 2 hour drive and like an hour and 3/4.
Yeah,
So
I
just
can't
just
commit
one
to that.
way. So it's tough because I don't posing coaches are dotted all over the place. So yeah, if you do find someone local, then that would be really handy for sure.
Yeah, I need to see if there's someone in London. You'd think there would be, especially with Muscle Works and the number of competitors that come out of there. And then ultimately, I just think it's why you get a coach, right? I don't so much need a coach to keep me accountable to like training nutrition,
Mm,
but I would need someone to keep me accountable to posing. I feel like, or not would, it'll just make it less stressful for me. Like, it's just, posing is, especially in the depths of prep, gets tough, and then to review it and to tweak it, like, there's a lot that goes into all of that. So yeah, it's the same reason you'd get a coach, is like to offload that stress. And again, I haven't thought this far ahead, but I would definitely consider getting a coach for prep
mm,
again, for that same reason, to just offload that stress so I can focus on stuff I need to get done.
yeah.
But same, I would get a posing coach for that reason.
It's nice as well because they could go like, okay, Steve, we want you to work on this, and then the next time you'd go to see them again, they'd review you, and they'd be like, we can see you haven't. We still need to work on this, and it's so like you said, it just keeps you accountable in that way.
Yeah, and it's seeing things, like any coach, it's seeing things you don't necessarily see. Like when I pose, like I look at my shots, I'm like, I'm actually really happy with a lot of those, but maybe someone else who's got that expert eye of, they'd be like, just move it here or there. And maybe I'd agree, maybe I wouldn't, because I think there's also that subjective perspective on posing as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and I even thought as well, um, imagine if they could help you just make a posing routine. That, in terms of a mental
Yeah.
offload, could be really helpful as well. They just be like, yeah, there you go. And obviously, you have input into it, but that could be massively, yeah, offloading.
Yeah. Yeah. It does take, especially a good posing routine. Like I know my posing routines are fine, but like I know I'm not doing them to a level of, I don't know, what a like professional poser could do, or like a Terence Ruffin type
No,
of,
no.
not to say anyone can really get to that level because he is unbelievable. But yeah, if they can construct it a bit more and help you get into the flow. And again, that's what part of me, because classic is something like I'd consider it in some ways, even men's physique, I'd consider it, but I need someone to help me get into the poses to see if I even think I could look anywhere near the part. I don't
Mm,
think it suits me. Either category suits me particularly well. I think I'm a bodybuilder through and through, but that might be partly because I've just not really got into the poses and the poses that suit me best. Obviously, men's physique, I think I could probably take some time and crack those pretty quickly because
mm.
there's not as much involved as there is with classic and the posing on there. But still, anyway, those are the thoughts that go through my head. Yeah.
Would you want to be in person, or do you think it could be done online virtually?
I think now, so long as both parties have a good internet connection, I think you could do a pretty good online. I think in person would be definitely preferable, though.
Mm,
Uh, I've had both in person posing and I've done online. And when I did it online, bless Jeff Alberts, because my internet connection was terrible. And Jeff definitely helped me a lot. And I really enjoyed that time. But I do think there's just something about being in person. You can get stuff done just quicker. They can see you better. Communication's a bit more swift. But yeah, there's no reason. Actually, it'd be a bit hard to set it up in here as well. I guess I could do it on my phone, actually, and pose. Yeah, it could work online. I'd consider trying online at least.
yeah. I guess it'd be helpful, like if no, there was zero local coaches nearby, it's the next best option, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
But yeah, nothing. We're on news. I don't know. Do you have any news?
I haven't got any news. No news from us.
Halloween, that was your news.
Halloween was my news, exactly. And the Halloween gala, that was my news.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that's come up in my feed that's there was okay, just very quickly, the whole thing with the lead in protein powder. I'm sure you saw that come up. There's like a consumer lab report that came up that found like really high levels of lead in a lot of products that are
Mm.
above the kind of risk tolerance. But when kind of experts have looked at that consumer report, such as a Dr. Andrea Love, who I'd love to get back on the podcast as well. She's meant to have come back on, but anyway, she hopefully will in future. But she basically broke it down as like, hey, the amount of lead in these is not really as concerning as essentially what they're making out. So that made me feel better because I have quite a lot of protein powder
Yeah.
in my day. I was like, hey. And then, yeah, there was a study also. Actually, someone asked a question about this, I think. It was regarding I forget what the word for it is, but it's essentially that kind of hypothesis that more energy expenditure, you eventually hit a cap where you don't just keep linearly burning more calories. You kind of have a cap where it's like, hey, if you increase your steps from 10 to 20,000, you don't get the same number of calories burnt as you did from 0 to 10,000, and 20 to 30,000. Again, you get diminishing returns as you increase energy expenditure. But there was a paper recently that came out that kind of conflicted with that a little bit, but the guys at the Mass Research Review are digging into that. So I advise people, if they're interested in that, to look that way. It's I can't think of, I don't want to say the names because I'm just going to say it wrong, but like the Hadza tribes and stuff like that,
Mm.
where it's that constrained energy expenditure model type of thing.
I've heard of it, but I didn't see I didn't see that study that you were mentioning.
Greg
But
Potter
yeah.
shared it on his story. That's where I initially saw it, but then it did the rounds.
Yeah. Did you see? So I think it's in this current Mass Research Review, autoregulating diets. The article by Eric Helms.
I've seen it's published. And I
Yeah,
think it's actually maybe free for non-subscribers even. Maybe. I'm not sure. But I haven't read it. Have you read it?
I haven't read
No.
it yet. No, I was just listening to their recent podcast this past week, and so I heard it on there. So I was like, make a mental note to come back and read that.
Didn't Eric break down the study I just mentioned in that podcast?
No, I don't think he did, because
Oh,
the one that
maybe it
I'm
was a
thinking
different
of
one.
that I listened to, it was just all about, he just talked through WMBF Taiwan and all of the traumas that he went through in that, which was crazy. And then they mentioned kind of the article at the end of the episode. So I don't think
Cool.
so. But I
Nice.
saw that you watched his vlog as well. Eric Helm's
Yes.
vlog.
Yeah, he basically did the same thing and talked through everything there, but it was good to hear it for a second time. And it's just nice to see someone who's just so clearly passionate about his craft,
Mm,
and you can't fake that. And when he was tearing up, I actually teared up as well. If anyone watches it, like he was just to see how proud he is of his physique. Like I just felt that so internally, like
mm.
as a competitor, when you see your photos, you're like, wow, I look like that. And that's the real trophy.
100%. Yeah, and you even you had another story. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, where it was just like, it's just so nice to have a physique that you look in the mirror and you're proud of. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think in bodybuilding, man, our perceptions are so skewed. I think you have some people who have like literal body dysmorphia where they really dislike what they see in the mirror and they just see all their their flaws and everything like that. And I definitely see my flaws. And I think you're the same way, Mike. Like, we're very critical, we're judges, so we see it immediately. And particularly judging opened my eyes to how bad my symmetry poses were. And so it really helped me in that regard. And it also grounded me in many ways. But at the same time, I think it's so important to give yourself like your flowers where you've earned
Yeah.
them in that sense. And it's like you said, I do look in the mirror now when I'm like at the gym and I'm training. I'm like, man, this is a guy that's built. Like, I'm so proud of that physique I've got, and like, I'm not at all embarrassed to like take my top off or anything like that. And it's very gratifying to get to that point because it's taken a long time. Like, it's been like
Yeah.
20 years of training to like really feel that. So I wouldn't expect someone who's early in their lifting career to feel that way, but always do reflect on where you've come from, and that can just give you so much perspective and also make you appreciate yourself. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes as bodybuilders, we just like to be giving ourselves just a hard time. And I think that can work to a certain extent. But if that's all you give yourself, you'll start falling out of love with any of it.
Yeah, totally. And I really like to think that because you have had to work for so long and for so hard for it, you appreciate it that much more. Whereas again, someone who wouldn't have had to have done that won't appreciate it, and they'll always have maybe some kind of maybe mental anxiety or just some sort of thing that they're chasing because they've not had to work for it just yet. So again, you know, nothing great is created overnight, as the old saying goes.
Yeah. Should we get to questions?
Let's get to questions. The fans are
Awesome.
screaming for us to answer some questions.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, I actually meant to mention this at the start. We're not live doing this. Well, me and Mike are live, but well, live to one another. But we just decided we've done the last three, I think, live, and it's nice being live, but it's the interaction is a bit, unless you've got a lot of people in live and you can start interacting with that audience and like having back and forths maybe, or I don't know, you guys can even have back and forths in the chat. It kind of becomes a bit redundant. And then the visual quality isn't as good as we do it that way. And the way that YouTube puts the video, it kind of hides it, and the views have been a little bit down and comments have been down. So yeah, this is why we haven't gone live this time round. But if people feel any particular way about it, which I don't think anyone does, do let us know if you do. But if you are listening now, do comment on YouTube. We appreciate your comments.
Comment.
You can ask questions and everything there. But if you do want to ask questions, obviously we're not getting them live. And where we're getting them from now is, as you hopefully know by now, Ada's getting down from me, in the hypertrophic, I always forget even what it's called, but in my broadcast group on Instagram. So
Time chamber.
hypertrophic time chamber. I just click on it. I never even read it anymore, so then I've forgotten. So yes, so people can ask in there. Anyway, with that ramble out the way, I'll ask you the first question, Mike.
Go for it.
So Aurora.Mattison asks, what are your thoughts on the protein in everything trends? Oh, I like this question.
So again, this is classic me. I didn't realize there was a protein in everything trend. So
What can I explain it to you, Mike?
yeah, explain
It's
it.
just like everything's as marketing. Like there's protein puddings, there's protein mousses, there's Greek yogurt. Oh, it's got a bit of protein. Oh, like there's Snickers protein bars now. There's protein cereal. That's kind of what she means. There's protein ice cream.
Oh,
Do you know
okay,
what I mean?
I get it. Um, I do you know what? I'm really not against it at all, because I think if you can make protein more easy for, like, essentially just people don't have an excuse anymore not to get sufficient protein in their diet. And if that means we're seeing a lot of these things, then hey, I'm kind of all for it to a certain extent. So I definitely, for me personally, I don't think it's a negative thing. It's not something I get annoyed about. If anything, I think it could only be a positive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm struggling to have the opposite perspective. Like, I'm like, what are the actual downsides of
Mm.
this? Really, the only thing I can think of when people are frustrated or annoyed or don't like it is because it's used as a bit of just a marketing term where it's like, hey, this protein cereal has per 100 grams 5 grams more protein or less than that than this
Mm,
other type, or this protein, I don't know, Baby Bell cheese actually has like 1 gram more protein but 2 grams more fat, so per calorie it's actually lower in protein. So
mm,
stuff like that, that's the only like, but I'm like, those are so few and far between. I think the overall messaging of, hey, most people don't eat enough protein, so we're going to make protein a bit more accessible, I think is good. And then to have such like availability of, hey, you don't have to have this chocolate just mousse, you can have this chocolate protein mousse
mm,
that is maybe similar calories, but now we've stripped half the fat and we put all those fat calories into protein. I'm like, wow, that's really good. I think we have it so easy now. When we first started, Mike, protein powders taste like crap.
yeah.
Whereas now, protein powders, literally, there's like tiramisu flavor and like Lotus biscuit for spread flavor, and like we're just spoiled. So I think it just comes from such a place of privilege to then be like, oh, protein trend is so annoying. I'm like,
Mm,
come on. It's only a good thing, really, right? It's only not good if you just maybe don't even have that basic understanding. It's kind of similar to, I don't know, those nutritional labels. I don't know if they still even do it. You know, they had the traffic light system where they'd have like red if it was high
yeah.
and things like that. I think that sometimes isn't the best because there's sometimes like, I don't know, a biscuit can be low in fat, but like that doesn't mean it's better, but that might show green. And then
Mm,
this salmon might show red on the fat because it is high in fat, but actually it's really healthful fat. So I'm just like, the traffic light system is kind of missing the forest for the trees.
yeah.
So I guess that could happen here a little bit.
No, I'm totally with you on that for sure. Um, so I didn't have anything to add there. Um, Lifting Lewis 5 asks, have you ever struggled to get through with a client, Steve, in terms of finding the best approach with them?
Hmm. Good question. I don't know, because there could have been times where that happened and I wasn't aware of it.
Mm,
So I guess the question would be, has it ever happened and I've been aware of it, where we've been troubleshooting, trying, and they've been actually adhering? And I can't say that's happened. I think when they've communicated well with me, when they've actually adhered to the things that we've tried to do to get them the results for an extended period of time, we have found an approach that works. And maybe, and I say, I don't want that to sound arrogant, because I guess it could, because it's like, oh, you have all the answers. It's like, well, no, I just have a specific set of skills that works for a specific population that tends to be the people that come for coaching.
mm,
And I'm aware that some people might leave coaching feeling like they actually didn't get the results they wanted because we didn't find the approach that worked for them. And I'm just not aware of that. I think that could
mm,
have happened.
mm,
Have you had
mm.
any experiences like that, Mike?
Y- Maybe. So I think the one example that I can think of was where um, I think essentially I had a client who really wanted to. I think she had some underlying relationships with food that she wanted to address, and I wasn't the best person for that. I think she kind of they wanted to get to a place where they were just very intuitive with food, but they also had like some relationships and behaviors with food, which I think I just wasn't the best person. So they ended up going to, some other coaches. And I think that was probably the only time where either the approaches that I could offer just wouldn't work for them, or just maybe they weren't what they wanted or needed. So yeah, that was so in that situation, it was just a case of like, hey, I don't have the right skill set for you. Let's get you to find someone who does.
Yeah. No, that's, I think, a good example of that. The immediate thought that comes to my mind is like, I've had clients who have gone enhanced, and then they've gone to an enhanced coach, and it kind of feels similar to that, where it's just like
Yeah.
it's just not the sort of person we tend to work with, and so it's like they're better off outsourcing that help. So
Yeah. And I think it's really important to know that and to be very comfortable with like what we talk about when something is outside of your scope. Like, hey, it's outside my wheelhouse, it's outside of my speciality, my scope. You're better off going to these people or these guys. And I think there's nothing wrong. In fact, I think it's a strength to be able to do that.
you touched on a really good point, because we already avoid getting into a situation where we can't find the best approach for a client because we already have consultations with our clients. So I forget what that's called, but we kind of sift them through questions, and we have that one-on-one time to be like, are you actually suitable for coaching or not? And you get to understand if they're a good communicator, and do you kind of get on a certain level. So I think that helps avoid not being able to help everyone that comes to us. But 9 times out of 10 or more than that, we are able to, which is good.
Yeah.
Shall I ask you the next one, Mike?
Yeah. I think triage is the word you were looking for. We triage
No,
client? No?
it wasn't.
Oh,
I'm not really
maybe not then.
sure. I'm not really sure what triage actually means.
It kind of means that's,
I've heard of it.
you're sifting through.
Okay.
We triage clients to a certain degree. You're kind of sifting through, and assessing
Vet
things.
them might have been
You
the
vet
word I was
them.
looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know what triage is. It might be right. I know the word, I just actually never use it. Right. So, life charlequin. A big portion of criticisms come from people with a poor understanding of anatomy. Instead of exercise tier list, maybe a physiology video.
As in, are they asking, would a physiology video be better than an exercise tier list? Is that what they're asking?
I guess so. Do you agree with what they've said?
Uh, not necessarily. Like, because the thought that comes to my mind is some of Jeff Nippard's videos about, S tier, A tier, B tier. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I think when thinking of his types of videos, sometimes he's explaining why it's an A tier, and within that there might be something about, anatomy or physiology. So I think it's quite context dependent on what the person is talking about. So I don't think it's a blanket, oh, we must do anatomy and physiology videos and not this. It kind of depends.
I might feel a bit differently towards those videos than you, Mike. I don't love exercise tier videos. I did a food tier video for dieting, and I hope I made it clear in that, at least. Again, given my reasons why, like satiety to calorie ratio, but also I think it's just really important for someone like Jeff, and I don't like these videos generally because I think it's so subjective to what feels better and what feels worse to that person, and even what you've got available. So I just find people look at it and they're like, oh no, Jeff said my favorite exercise is a D tier. I'm not doing that anymore. I should only do because Jeff is the smartest person with the biggest followers or whatever, and they suddenly feel that way. So I think also maybe this person is commenting on the fact that sometimes when they do use arguments based on anatomy, they don't actually have a good understanding of the anatomy when they are using that. And all I'd say there is, if you don't have a good understanding, you don't use that as part of your argument. I just wouldn't. But having a physiology video, the reason tier lists do well is because people love opinions. They love black and white things. They love grading better and worse. Just physiology, I think no one's going to tune into that in the same way unless you dress it up somehow. So, yeah, I don't know. Those are my ramble of thoughts on it. It wasn't really a question for us anyway. So,
no. Good thoughts, though. There's always pros and cons and context. You've got to take it into consideration, right? But RS_strength 413 asks, in the early off season, after setting initial calories and macros, how long before making adjustments if weight hasn't gone up in a couple of weeks?
early off season is a really good context because we would expect faster adaptations to food at that point, because you're likely still seeing metabolic adaptations to the coming out of the diet. in the same way as when you diet down, your metabolism adapts. We would expect to see the same as you come out of a diet, that there's a bit of adaptation going on where you might actually mass on fewer calories than you might normally at the start. But then as you adapt, you start getting back closer to where you originally were. So I would say after a couple of weeks, I would probably make an adjustment. All things being equal, there's no reason you wouldn't think that makes sense. And then just as you get deeper and deeper into your off season, we're expecting less adaptations. So I would make less frequent changes. I think that also aligns with probably someone's recomp potential, because when you're earlier on during a mass phase, you're still maybe a bit fatigued from the diet to some extent, and also you're leaner and you have less body fat able to be utilized for recomping. But when you're later, you're fully recovered from any kind of diet symptoms, you're feeling really good, but you also have more body fat stores. So that's maybe it's like 2 to 4 weeks, 2 weeks early, 4 weeks later on. And 4 might be a bit excessive, to be honest. You might make adjustments sooner than that. I might say 1 up to like 3 weeks
Yeah.
as a range.
No, I think that's great. I don't have anything to add there.
Ah, okay. I will ask the next question then, because we're in the new lot of questions that I asked recently. If my thing will load, it's not loading. Oh, let me get it up on my phone or my... Oh, mine's not loading.
Oh, no.
Instagram is not liking broadcast groups for some reason, or just sometimes, when Instagram just doesn't like to play ball. Here we go. You have to it's my typical, I just close the app, reopen it. So Jesse_Benson has asked, stacking ribcage versus RP style big arch and retract, which cue is more appropriate and when used to arch more but feel better with stack now?
So my answer to this would be try both and see which one works for you, depending on your body type. I think both could potentially have utility. I think depending on someone's structure, depending on how they move and what cues work for them. Yeah, I think it's more a case of experimenting with both variations and going with which one feels like it's hitting the area you want the most.
I think that's as complicated as it needs to be, as far as I'm concerned. As a practitioner, try both, see which one feels better to you. It's only being aware that I don't love hard retraction kept throughout, because as you press, if you focus on retracting, you're going to really struggle to actually properly press. Like if you have I like a setup of a retraction, that's cool. Big arch. Okay, let me try and rephrase this. I don't like two extremes in either direction. I think if you're so focused on always really stacking your rib cage, I think sometimes you can just probably find this, Mike, and people find this as they're pressing, as they approach failure. If they're really focused on stacking, they just find their body wants to arch a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a problem if you arch a little bit, especially the more inclined you are, you'll find you want more of an arch than the flatter you are in terms of the incline. And I think a little bit is fine. I think that kind of plays into the body. I think the body's responding in that way in some regard because it's stronger like that, and that can allow you to get some more effective stimulus. I think, again, an extreme arch, extreme retraction, I wouldn't say RP necessarily espouse that. I have seen situations where they have, but I'd say that's more of a powerlifting technique to reduce range of motion, barbell pressing, and put your shoulders in a really secure position. I think setting up with a little bit of an arch and retraction is useful, especially on a barbell press. I tend to find that puts me in a really good position. But for dumbbell pressing, for fly movements, I don't really like to focus on a big retraction and big arch. I like to be a bit more fluid to the bench, have a bit more stack. So I kind of, in some ways, I'm aligning with where you are with it, Mike. It's try both. It's somewhere in the middle, and it may even change over time. Like this, but Jesse said, now they're finding actually being a bit more stacked feels really good. And you might find in some situations that is true. And for some people, depending on rib cages and everything like that. The only other point I'll say, and then I'll let you speak, Mike, is arch can impact what part of your chest is being trained, in that if you really harshly arch, on a flat, you've suddenly changed what is a flat press into like a decline because now you're arched. So if you're then inclining, you're like, oh yeah, I'm hitting up a chest, but you're really arched, you might actually be doing a flat press at that point. So it's just being aware of that. But if you have a consistent arch throughout like every movement, you're still changing the portions of the chest that you're training. I experimented recently trying to be a bit more stacked. And I found in some situations a little bit more stacking was nice. I enjoyed it, but in some situations I didn't. So on more incline movements, if I really, like I said, tried to keep that harsh stack, I was like, man, this just doesn't feel natural. I'm focusing more on like rib cage control and where I am there versus actually allowing my chest to do the work. So if I don't get into excessive rib flare and arch, I can get a really good stimulus without the downsides. But then on more flat movements, when dumbbell pressing, just a small arch and not really thinking about retraction at all set me up really well. And then on benching, like flat pressing, I feel like I'm much better and much stronger and much more stable if I arch a bit more and have and set up with my shoulders back. And again, it might even impact load that you're using. So if you're like in lower rep ranges, more arch, more retraction might put you in a stronger, safer position, more similar to why powerlifters might do it in the first place, like a bridge, like in that structure, it's just a bit of a stronger position. Whereas higher rep ranges, you might be able to be a bit more like fluid and a bit like more stacked. The only other, did I say this is the final thing I'm going to say, and then I'll hand it over to you, Mike. The only other thing is on flying movements, I've really liked being a bit more stacked. So not thinking about any sort of like arch during that, and actually not even coming even as like, I used to think, hey, more ROM better, and like bring my arms as far back behind me as possible. On like machine flies, you can put it into like, it has like a rear delt setting, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll crank it right back there. I'll come as far as my arms will allow me. I've stopped doing that, and I've actually started coming, I don't know, a good 2-3 notches less deep. I'm just maintaining tension way better on the target muscle. I'm not going into this maybe passive stretch and distributing the force elsewhere. So that's my ramble over, Mike.
But just on that last point you just made, it's kind of not exactly the same, but similar to like quad movements. I was like, sure, you could maybe go deeper, but now maybe there isn't as much tension on the quads, as there was. So I think that's a really important note. And it just got me thinking in general about that continuum of technique between perfect pristine technique and then kind of loose technique, somewhere in the middle. Because if we're too pristine all the time, we're probably sacrificing stimulus because we're not going close to failure. Equally, if it's too loose, it's like, it's all over the shop and we're probably, walking that tightrope of injury. So it kind of feels to me a very similar thing.
Yeah, for sure. I found it even talking about that kind of range of motion aspect with my vertical pulling at the moment. Again, I used to be all about, okay, like let my arms like go all the way up here and fully elevate and like get the biggest range of motion possible. I don't know if it's to do with the mag grips or what have you, but I've just found if I don't fully extend my arm and I don't always allow my scapula to fully elevate, I actually feel like I'm keeping the tension more where I want it on the target tissues. So yeah, I think when you get to the level of training age we can listen to our bodies pretty well and get what we want from movements. And I think being able to lean into that is a skill.
Definitely. And do you know what? It made me smile just then because it made me think of what you said about how, like, Steve of like 10 years ago, if he was to look at your form now, like, he'd probably go, oh, Steve, what are you doing? My form's deteriorated when it hasn't. It's that meme.
Yeah, I think I say people like us, like I like clear black and white answers. Everyone does. And I like that, hey, technical failure was when I couldn't do like a controlled rep A to B. But we come back to that question of, do we want to get standardization for the sake of standardization, or do we want to get more stimulus? And I just know, like, I've grown my best when I've lent into just like moving it well, but not being worried about externally, does it look pretty? And just being like, is the target muscle getting a pounding? Yeah, it is. and just being confident with that. And it's helped that physically I've grown, and like even like having that pro card I think helps, because now when I put it out there into the ether, it's not like, oh, that guy's really skinny, his terrible form. It's like, oh, that guy's actually really jacked, and oh, his form, it's not as pretty, as pristine as, I don't know, a textbook. Maybe there's something to that, or at least I can't critique them in the same way that I would like to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, I was looking at your recent physique update, and again, like with your most muscular, I was just thinking, Jesus Christ.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I was just like, oh fucking hell. It's so good, but yeah, it's awesome.
The arms just keep fucking growing. I just like don't even try, and they grow.
Uh,
Well, I do try, to be honest, but not as hard as I try on my flipping legs. I just hope they're the ones that I want them to be like, oh yeah, they've improved.
well, you
They
to
will.
be fair, like you could see that in the last season at the Netherlands. I remember when we both looked at your like front relax pose, and we were just like, "Fuck your legs!" Like,
Yeah,
what's happened there? You know,
for sure.
yeah. So no doubt, no doubt. Right. Okay. So Tanish_3 asks signs other than body weight to increase calories.
I believe they asked me this on one of my posts, because this is ringing bells, and I signs other than body weight. Man, there's so no context provided here. I feel like they provided more context on my Instagram post, because the only reason you'd increase calories outside of body weight is if you aren't at a level of body fat that's sustainable for you. So I would be looking at that. So if someone is, I don't know, for a guy looking like they're like 10%, and we're not thinking about body weight here, then I would consider diet fatigue related factors. So how's their sleep? How's their motivation? How's their energy levels? How's their food focus? How's their hunger? How's their libido? Do they have blood work? I'd be looking at those.
Mm,
And I'd only expect those things to be, and I'd only think about increasing calories if those were in a poor place, and that was determined to be related to them trying to sustain too lean of a body fat. There's my answer.
awesome. And to add to that, I guess you'd also want like multiple of those factors in place. So if they were, if you had multiple of all the factors that you just listed, if they were all kind of tanking or not where you wanted to be, that's even more weighting to say like, hey, whereas if it was just one or two, you might be like, oh, I'm still not sure.
Yeah, and you'd want context of being like, right, they are someone who has good sleep hygiene, but their sleep is maybe still out of whack. They are eating mostly wholesome food, but they're still hungry. They, I don't know, have a reasonable training volume, but they're still low on energy, and performance in the gym isn't in the best place. They, yeah, I mean, their blood work, there's no reason it should be
Mm,
in a poor place unless they are leaner than they should be. So, yeah,
mm.
those are some of the thoughts. So, yeah.
Nice. I haven't got anything to add there either.
Cool. Right. From Jim BKR85, what is the best process to carry on working lower body with calf strain and also rehabbing the calf?
Ooh, that worked out perfectly. Good question. So I guess a couple of things. Thinking of, we want to try and limit probably exercises where you're putting in the calf into a deep stretch position, and probably also where there isn't really intense contraction. So that kind of, all being said, that might sound like a little bit vague, but that might look like, okay, well, be very cautious if you're going really, really deep into a squat, because that might put the calf under a lot of compression. It might put it under a lot of stretch. Um, Equally, there might be some exercises where like there is a really intense isometric contraction of the calf. That might be with hamstring movements or other things. So again, you might just have to be quite cautious with some of those things. It also depends on what stage of the healing process you're in, because if you're in the very acute stages, you're going to be very limited generally. But if you're in the latter stages, then you'll probably have a lot more scope with the type of exercises that you can do. And on that note, if you are on the later stages, and I jumped the gun in my head a little bit there, but so a couple of key things in terms of just general rehab. And a thing that I have in my head is firstly starting off with calf raises from the floor, because obviously it's a reduced range of movement, the calf's in less of a stretch, therefore kind of it's a good place to start generally. And I would go double leg, then progressing to double leg over the step, single leg from the floor, single leg over a step. That's typically the classical process. And then if you are someone who runs or plays sports, anything of that nature, then it's good to integrate a little bit of hopping, a little bit of jumping, and some plyometrics as a means of transitioning back into kind of those sorts of areas. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts.
Nice. Yeah, there's only my experience here is I have calf tattoos. So
Yeah.
I had to somehow work around those while still training the lower body. The only things I would add in addition to everything that you said, which was great, Mike, is considering pre-fatigue for like leg curls, leg
Yes.
extensions, that can be helpful. And then just like your general workaround sort of situations, like foot stance, less knee flexion, less hamstring to calf, work with maybe smaller ranges of motion and play with tempos, higher rep ranges
Yeah.
to just make it a bit more safe and secure for that lift. But yeah, I think you crushed it.
Nice. Cool. So Adams underscore garage underscore gym asks, do you have any questions that you would like future studies in sport and exercise or sports psychology to answer? What's missing?
I think, Adam, you might, I can't speak for you, Mike, but I think Adam might think that I don't know. This is the sort of question I feel like you would ask a researcher who's just
Mm,
like very aware of the whole body of research, and they are doing research regularly, and they have things they'd like to do, and they have research projects on the go. And so this is like in their wheelhouse. I'm trying to think of an example of what it would be like, but I don't know, like this is so random. You own an ice cream shop and you have lots of different flavors that you're producing. And so someone asks you, oh, what's a flavor that you would like to see
mm,
like in your ice cream shop in future? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I really would like to do this, but I think it's a bit of a weird flavor. I don't know how it would go, but you know, whereas me and you would be like, I don't even know what ice cream flavors they do or don't have. Like I'm just not aware of all the flavors that are available. So I don't know what's missing necessarily. So we're aware of many flavors and we've been to ice cream shops, but we don't know like that level of detail and nuance. It's similar here where I'm just like, I don't know, like nothing comes to mind. I'd have to go away and think about this for a little bit of time because even the thing I'm thinking off the top of my head might be an ice cream flavor that's available. It might be a study that's actually already out there.
mm.
I don't know if you feel similarly here, Mike.
I think that's a great analogy. I, yeah, I just think that's so spot on. And even just before you said that, I was just thinking to myself, "Ah, I don't know like the research well enough to know. So it's very reassuring that you said that as well, as I was thinking it. So yeah, I very much in the same wheelhouse as you. I think people like even someone like, again, I've mentioned him a couple of times now, but Jeff Nippard again, because he's got his research lab and he does lots of stuff. So again, even someone like him, who's more of a maybe practical researcher, you might say, um, even someone like him is probably better placed to say like, oh, I would like to see this, that. Um, so yeah, I totally agree.
Only thing as we've been talking, like I'm just thinking, oh, what could there be? I would love more research done on competitive bodybuilders
Uh,
and like refeeds maybe for competitive bodybuilders legitimately getting towards stage levels of condition because we don't have that, but I doubt that will ever be a thing that actually comes out. But
mm,
I don't think it's super important. I think a lot of the time, like when I think about that, I'm like, it's kind of similar in many. I think there's no, it's the wrong thought to have, but sometimes I do see some research that comes out. It's like, duh, You know what I mean? Like, it's like people say, oh, we already knew that. It's like, no, we didn't know that, but it makes sense. An example that comes to mind is like doing straight leg calf raises grows the gastroc much better than bent leg calf raises. Like, well, biomechanically, that makes complete sense because
Mm.
the gastroc is in a shortened position and it doesn't really lengthen very well during like a bent knee raise because it crosses the knee joint. Did we need a research paper to like confirm that? I don't know. Like it's like refeeds for bodybuilders have been used for so long, and they're very like they're great. I know it's. I feel so anti-science right now. I'm not anti-science by any
No.
means. Anyway,
I think also you made me think of something I would maybe like to see more of is just more injury research in bodybuilding specifically. I think that would be quite cool. A lot of, from what I'm aware of, there's just general strength training research in like, powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, etc., but not specifically bodybuilding. So I think that would be quite cool.
nice. Well, we managed to answer your question, Adam,
Nice.
even though we're not well acquainted with all the ice cream flavors. So I'll ask you the next one, Mike. All Grit No Gear asks, do you find there to be more natural representation and federations in the UK versus abroad?
Mm, more natural representation. Oh,
That's a bit different. Federations and representation are, I would answer it maybe as federations. Representation sound it's a bit of a they're different meanings, no?
yeah. So kind of like, is there more natural representation? Is there more is the natural scene bigger versus abroad?
Mm.
Um, I really, yeah, I'll answer. I don't know, because both from a federation's perspective, I would maybe say I'm aware of less natural federations in the UK compared to abroad. I don't know if you'd agree with that, because when I think of something like in the US, there seems that I perceive there to be quite a lot of natural I perceive there to be a lot of federations compared to here. I would say you've got the WNBF, you've got the UK DFBA, you've got the NPA, uh, PCA have got a natural segment to it, but it's not a fully natural federation. Um, so there's not really too many thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't really know to be honest. I'd have to look into it. But the big ones are the big ones abroad and here. And we have the OCB now, of course, as
True.
well.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably not too dissimilar. And then
Yeah.
abroad is very broad, as it were.
Mm.
Like when I think abroad, I think of like the US
Mm-hmm.
or Australia. They seem to have quite a lot of natural bodybuilding federations and representation, I would say to some extent similar to here. But
Yeah.
there's probably like, I don't know how it is in like Russia. Like the biggest, is that the biggest country in the world? I don't know, but it's very much up there. I don't know how much natural representation and
Mm.
federations there are there, or even like Africa. Not that
Yeah.
that's a country, but I don't know. So
Mm.
I think Europe, like America, Canada, Australia, um, maybe parts of Asia are pretty on it, but other parts of the world, you don't see it as much.
No, because even
But
like
anyway,
you made me think of like China as well. So you've obviously got the WNBF China, but then what about other stuff as well? Other federations there. You just don't know, don't hear about it.
no, no, I don't think it's as well represented out there. I think it's a bit new from
Mm.
my understanding. So, yeah, interesting nonetheless. I know, was it Taiwan where
Yeah.
Eric competed and like he was like natural body? Someone asked for his autograph, not because he was Eric Helms, the like researcher, 3DMJ guy, because he was natural bodybuilder Eric Helms. And they
Mm.
didn't know who he was. So in Taiwan, like natural bodybuilders are like professional athletes, not the same
Yeah.
level as like other sports, but sound like no one would give a shit if I told them I was a professional natural bodybuilder in the UK. Like no one cares. No one would want my autograph.
Which is wild. And you just think, in Taiwan, really?
Yeah,
But it
it's
is.
cool.
You just don't know what's out there.
Mike, the last two questions are very similar and we kind of have spoken through them because
Ah,
they are regarding the new research on metabolic
yeah,
adaptation slash kind of that theoretical cap on
yeah.
energy expenditure. And I think we probably can answer Lifting Lewis 5's question where he said, what's the highest your step counts have individually or for clients? So, Mike, what's the highest your step count has ever been consistently? And then, yeah, what's the highest you've given a client?
So consistently for me was in prep. I think I was doing maybe like 16, 17K. I think it got up to that. It was around 15, 16K. But the highest I've ever given a client is 12K. I think,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think the highest I've consistently had my steps is between 20 to 25,000.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
That was also based off my Fitbit, and it's actually interesting the variance in fitness devices and how many steps they give you. I've said before my Withings tracker now, like 12,000 on here would be, I don't know, 15 to 16,000 on my Fitbit. So I don't even know. Like, so I was certainly doing a lot of steps. I don't even know if that was also me wearing the weighted vest. It might have been for the majority of
Oh
those steps wearing the.
my
Yeah, it was a
God.
lot. Yeah, it was too much. And the weighted vest actually aligns into this, right? Because part of the weighted vest is increasing your total daily energy expenditure. But if there's a cap, right?
Hmm.
And I definitely think there is some benefit of energy flux where it's like, hey, if you can be on a higher amount of food but doing more expenditure, that's better for like nutrient partitioning and for fat loss and that sort of thing. But I definitely think there's a limit to it, and it might be individual. There might be a theoretical, like there's a like the research tends to show like 7,000 steps on average for a person a day. It seems to be like the sweet amount where it's like you get almost all the cardiovascular protective benefits, and more than that, it's diminishing returns. There's probably a cap of steps on average for people where it's like if you go past that, you're just like the body compensates, adapts for whatever reason. I think personally, anything much above 15,000 is probably where it is. To hit 20,000 steps a day, you have to be walking a lot in your day. Like you have to really go out of your way to hit that amount. I have actually never prescribed. I don't think I've actually prescribed. A client might disagree with me here. Much more than 15,000. I've certainly had clients on more steps than that, but typically it's because of their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So someone who comes to mind is Eve, who recently competed this last season. Her step count was, I think, often up to 20,000, but that was like part of her daily living. She's a personal trainer. She's on her feet all day. So her steps were, she's also small. So her stride is much smaller as well. So that plays into it. She's not got the longest legs. So yeah, but I wouldn't, generally our advice, I think you're probably the same with this, Mike, is once we've got to a reasonable number of steps where someone's not obviously sedentary, 7,000, I encourage someone to get, if they're below 7, get closer to 7 to 8,000. But past that, like, I don't really encourage adding steps because there's just a cost associated with that. And I wouldn't really want to see someone go much above like 12 to 15 is like, once they start getting to that, I'm just like, I prefer to reduce food or maybe add formal cardio even potentially versus just doing more steps. Because, yeah, as we used the term earlier, the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Nice. We are done.
We
Guys,
nailed
thank you
it.
so much for tuning in. Thank you as always for your questions. Like I said before, to ask, join the Hypertrophic Time Chamber over in my broadcast group on Instagram. It's going to be linked in the description. Do comment if you've made it this far. What should they comment? Something trick or treat.
Yeah, pumpkin or ghost.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, emoji, pumpkin or ghost, trick or treat, and I want to know their favorite Halloween candy. Let's use American terms, since most of our listeners are probably American. Have you ever had the it's a very traditional American candy for Halloween, and it's like a bottle, and it's like orange, white.
No,
Oh, what is it? I need to find this now.
Because all I can think of now is Coca-Cola bottles.
Candy corn.
Candy
Have you ever
corn?
had candy corn?
No, I haven't.
Right, one sec. Just, I know we're over time here, Mike, and I apologize. I'm keeping you up. Where's my screen share? I'm just going to do this quickly. I can't believe you don't know what this is. I actually can believe, of course, but hey.
Candy corn.
See it?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
You've never seen it?
I don't think so.
Oh my God.
What does it
Why should
taste
I
like?
don't know how I'm surprised. For me, eating it, it's just very sweet. I don't know what flavor it's meant to be. Candy. What's it meant to be? Not AI mode. What the hell is AI mode? Oh, okay. Classic candy corn flavor is what? It's a blend of creamy fondant, rich marshmallow, and warm vanilla. Mike, you'd love it.
Oh, there we go.
Mike, you would absolutely love candy corn.
That is my sweet. That's I'd love
I
it.
find that way too funny.
Give me some candy corn.
So yeah, we have to someone listening send Mike candy corn. I don't
Please.
even know where we can get it, but I've had it before, and I like it. I like the texture as well, of course. I'm a texture
Of course,
guy.
yeah, texture. What is the texture? Is it just soft or it can't be soft, surely?
It is kind of soft. I can't think of a sweet that it's similar to, but it's got like a bit of a harder outside shell, not like really hard like a Smarties or a Skittles, a bit softer than that. And then the middle is just like, I can't even think of a texture that it's similar to. Maybe a bit like a Jelly Baby-ish.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, then I like them. I really dig them. So yeah, candy corn. We have to get you some at some point. Like, there's probably candy corn flavor ice cream somewhere.
No doubt.
Right, I'll leave it here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, do subscribe, like, come get us for coaching, and Mike for any pain or physio help that you might need. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you later, guys.